All right, what's up? Good morning. Happy Monday. We get another week for building the lives and the careers that we want. And I'm very excited. This week, we're going to talk about everybody's favorite topic, networking. Most people want to vomit when they hear the word networking because most people hate it so much. And it's because most people have not been trained how to network properly. And so because of that, it's painful. They feel like they're asking people for things and then they get rejected. And then the other person feels guilty for not helping. And then you walk away dejected, rejected, just low self-confidence. I'm never doing that. It's just a mess. So we're going to be talking about how networking and relationships ultimately determine our success. And I am going to give a brief overview of how to build a relationship strategically, whether it's in your personal life or in your professional career. So the three things that we're going to cover in this video is, first off, what are the benefits? If you are building a strategic relationship or many different relationships, what are ultimately the benefits that you will receive for your personal life or your professional career? And there's three main buckets that we're going to be talking about. And then the second part that we're going to cover is the application. So which parts of your life or which areas of your life can you be strategically building these relationships? Now, for this second part application, we're going to focus on the professional side of your life. And then the third part is a brief overview of how to build a relationship strategically. Believe it or not, there is a science to building relationships. It doesn't just happen randomly and totally, unpredictably. There's a very predictable way of how to build a relationship. So with that, let's get into it. Show me the money. All right, so let's talk about the benefits. What are the benefits of building strategic relationships with people in your personal life as well as in your professional life? So these benefits these are the three buckets. Now, before we dive into any of the three of them, the first thing I want to say is everything of value in the economy, in your personal life, all of your emotions, everything is expressed and in connection to other people. So what does that mean? Well, there's some people who truly believe that they can just be without other people and be just fine. And that's like saying that you're going to be generating all of your own emotions, your happiness, your love, your excitement, the sense of adventure, all those emotions completely on your own and not share them with anybody. But then also in your professional career that they can create things of value and be okay in their career without worrying about any people. So for example, there's some engineers or other people who are very individual in their work, and they believe that if they just do their work, they'll be just fine. That mentality creates massive limitations in your career and in your personal life because we must work with and be related to other people. And related to and there's always going to be an exchange, whether it's a monetary exchange or a goods exchange or a services exchange or an emotional exchange, a communication exchange, whether that's influence. We need people. Everything in our lives comes through people. So if you want to make more money, it's going to be through people. Now, if you create something that's valuable, well, that thing is going to have to be sold or marketed to other people. Well, you got to understand people and you need relationships. So if you do not have what you want in your life, it's probably because you're solely relying on yourself. In order for us to improve and grow our lives, we need people. We need strong relationships with the right people. So the three benefits that we get from people in our personal lives and in our professional lives, the first was information. You can read all the books that are out there. And I've read many books, probably over 150 now. Not all the answers are in the books. I've looked. And so what we need mentors. We need coaches. We need leaders, trainers. We need people who have already achieved what it is that we're looking for. Or we need people who have access to certain information that we can't find. So for example, a lot of people, when they're looking to make strategic decisions in their career, they try to do all the research themselves online. Most of the information, the crucial information that you need about a company, about a team, about the internal workings within the organization or within the company, most of that stuff is not going to be online. You have to talk to the people inside the company. And the only way to do that is to reach out, build rapport, build that relationship until the point where they know you, like you, and trust you, and actually begin sharing information. So information, you will be able to access information that no one else has access to, or you can't find it online or in books or anywhere else. It's in the minds of very specific people. So the first part is information that is restricted. Now the second part is resources. So when you build relationships with certain people, they will have access not only to information, but they will have access to different resources. Now think of a resource as anything that can be used to enhance something else. Now that might be, technically information could be a resource. But also, I mean, think of someone who, just as an example, let's say that you want to start your own business and there's going to be a heavy capital expenditure up front or a heavy investment. You're going to need to build something or build a product and you need money. Well, one group of people, one set of relationships are going to be providing resources in the form of money. Well, you need to go raise funding from other people. You need to have relationships for that. And now let's say that you need people to actually help you build the company or build the business from the ground up. Well, you're going to have to go out and find people who have certain skill sets or certain experience, background experiences, or certain knowledge areas, or they're experts in marketing or in product development or in project management or operations, supply chain, outsourcing, whatever. Well, those people, their skills, knowledge, and experiences, those are technically resources. And so think of a project. There's always people that are contributing different things. And in order for you to be kind of the leader of that project or the leader of whatever it is that you're trying to create, you're going to have to access people that all have different resources. And that's really all an entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur is, or a leader of a company or a project, even a team leader. A team leader knows, all right, I have 5 people. These 5 people all have certain skill sets. I'm bringing them together and combining these resources to accomplish something. So the more relationships you have, the more access to resources you have, which actually makes you a more valuable person in the future, because you'll be able to combine people and combine resources in ways that other people can't if they don't have access to the resources. Now, the third part is opportunities. It's through people that we create opportunities. Now, notice I didn't say find opportunities. Yes, you can find opportunities, but most of the time we have to create literally the opportunity to find it through people. So, a lot of people don't know this stat, but 80% of jobs are filled through referrals. They're not even online. Most people never even find these opportunities online. They're searching job boards, they're scouring LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and all, Monster.com, all those websites. 80% of jobs are not filled through portals. They're filled through people, referrals. And if you think about why, well, the company has to spend an enormous amount of time writing these job descriptions, interviewing the hiring managers, making sure it all looks good. And then they post it across like 15 different websites. And then they have to create all the ATS systems and the sequences to be able to filter out all the bad leads or all the bad candidates that don't match or underqualified, whatever. And then they have to call, 100 people, do the first round screen. And then if they ultimately do get down, then they hope it's a culture match. Whereas if it's through a referral, they save an enormous amount of time because someone who's already in the company already knows the company's culture, already knows what the company's looking for, knows what the team is looking for, can refer somebody that they believe is a great fit. And that person not only saves the company an enormous amount of time, money, energy, but most likely they're a better culture fit. And with a better culture fit and a better team fit, that's going to reduce churn for the company. Fewer people are going to leave. Well, that saves the company even more money. That's why a lot of companies have referral bonuses, because you're literally saving the company that much money. So anyways, in terms of opportunities, and it's not just for career opportunities, it's also for moving up within an organization or within a company. And that's where you hear the word corporate politics. Well, I'm going to talk about that in the second part. But what's most important for you to know is people are the ones that are going to be creating opportunities for you in your life and in your career. So right now, if you believe there's nothing I can do, I'm stuck. It's not that you're stuck, it's that you don't know or you have not built the right relationships with the right people. So take a quick second and think about that. Wherever you are in your career right now, if you are not happy or if you believe that the opportunity is not there for you, that means that you don't know yet, or you don't have the right relationship with the right people. Now, that might mean that you need to go be thinking about and beginning to build strategic relationships with other people inside the company, or you might need to be building strategic relationships with people outside of your company because they're the ones that are going to have the opportunity for you. So now let's dive into the second part. All right, so the second part I want to cover with you is the application, or how can we be using, or where can we be using our strategic relationships. So for this section, I'm going to focus on the professional side of your life. So the first part is career opportunities and transitions. So we already covered that in the last section, talking about the referrals and building these relationships. People will open doors that you previously didn't even know about or didn't think was possible. And again, if you want to create opportunities at companies or in different industries, if you believe that you're pigeonholed and you can't transfer, it's people are the answer. It's not portals. People are the answer, not portals. All right, so now the second part is mentorship. Now, I want to kind of talk about mentorship first as a broad category, because a lot of people believe mentorship means, I talk to a person every now and then and they give me some advice. Yes, that's true, but think of a mentor as it's someone that you study under. It's someone who's a master at something. It's someone who not only are they giving advice, but they have wisdom that they have accumulated over years. And that could be someone who's 1 or 2 years older, but they've been in your role for 1 or 2 years longer than you have. Well, they could be a mentor for that role. It could be someone who's within the industry and they've been in that industry for 10, 15, 20 years, and they've accumulated an enormous amount of skills, knowledge, and experience in that realm, and they can give you and impart their wisdom in that area. So think of a mentor as someone that, yes, provides advice, but even more importantly, there's someone that you train under them. And it's someone that's giving you feedback. And one of the important distinctions that I've had to learn is I always view it as you could mentor under someone, like someone could be your mentor from afar, where there's a lot of interviews, they write books, they do podcasts, and you study and consume. It's a whole nother level when you have a mentor that is giving you feedback. And the value of the feedback, whether it's negative or positive, constructive or reinforcing, it's either way, it's good, because that's information from arguably an objective third party that is giving you feedback that is making you better, because they're pointing out your blind spots. What do you see? What do you not see? So in terms of the application of these strategic relationships, so first is internal. So wherever you work, whatever it is that you do professionally, or if you work for yourself, then and I'll talk about that in a second, but let's just say you're at a company. Right now, if you're at a company, you want to build relationships with key contacts, key people within that company. Now, a lot of people, they only have relationships with their team. So let's say that this is you. You got a big old smile. So let's say that you have your immediate team here, and whatever, that's the hierarchy. Well, there might be someone else in a totally different division over here that's got their own team going on, and you know that this person is an A-plus player. That person crushes. They're a leader within the company. They're a leader in the business unit, whatever. There's no reason you can't reach out to this person. Obviously, this man or woman has done exceptionally well in their career, and there's a reason that they're crushing and moving up within the company and getting opportunities that everyone else is getting passed over for. It's because this person is doing something different. They think differently, they act differently, they're doing things differently, they lead differently. And so because of that, these are the people that are not only are they going to be able to give you incredible advice and you'll be able to learn from them and get feedback from them, but even more importantly is these are the people that can create opportunities for you. So there are certain people that I call high leverage people within an organization. They have very strong reputations and they're decision makers. They can make things happen. If you want to transition to a different team, if you have 1 or 2 or 3 of these people, they'll make it happen like that because they're the ones leading the company, leading the business, leading the teams, and they're decision makers. A lot of people get stuck where they are in a company because they don't have enough key relationships or strategic relationships with people who can actually make changes in the business. And so wherever you are in your company, you want to be asking yourself, okay, yes, I need good relationships with everybody on my team. But you also want to challenge yourself and ask, within my company, who are other key people that have been very successful and they're in other parts of the business? And what you want to do is you want to get coffee with them once or twice, maybe once a month or once every other month or once a quarter. But you need to be building those relationships because those people can do incredibly wonderful things for you. Not only that, but you'll also get perspective and insight from other parts of the business and from other leaders. Now, the other part, so external. The other thing is most people, if they are going to build strategic relationships or have mentorships with people, they only do it within their own company. And that's very limiting because you might not be at that company for the rest of your life. And I mean, with our if you're in my generation, or even if you are more senior, I've worked with people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, like however old you are, if you have contacts outside of your own company, that's great because again, they have a different perspective of the world and more importantly, a different perspective of the marketplace. So they will have strategies, insights, access to other resources, other key contacts. Like they will be able to help you in ways that people in your company cannot. So the more strategic relationships you have in the overall industry outside of your company, the more valuable that is and the more valuable you'll become. And also you'll have a strategic advantage over the people inside your own company because most people will not have that, especially at junior to mid-management level. Now, senior executives, they're going to have relationships all over the place. And that's just the nature of them growing within their industry. People going off to other companies, they'll naturally have that. But if you're early to mid-career and you are going out of your way to strategically build these relationships, you will be building a wealth of information, resources, and opportunities that other people in your company at your level just simply don't have. And you will be able to significantly outcompete them. So now that's kind of the mentorship, both internal and external. And internal, think of this is corporate politics. And you've probably seen this where someone gets a promotion, people are like, how the hell did that person get the promotion? What? It's because they knew somebody. They had a key relationship. And that's important for you is you need to be playing a game at a higher level than everyone else. Yes, you need to crush your position and your responsibilities. And yes, you need to be adding value and investing in yourself and contributing over and above what's expected of you. But even more importantly is you need to be building strategic relationships that are going to help you make a strategic action in your career a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And that's why you have to be planning ahead in your career is think of it as like there's going to be multiple different pieces that you need to move in order to be successful in your career. A big part of it is you're going to have to learn, study, and invest in yourself, develop your skills, your knowledge, your experiences, and add more value. Like that's a key portion that you're going to have to push by yourself. But also is there's going to be these key relationships that in order for you to get what you want 12 months from now, 24 months from now, 48 months from now, however long that is, there are certain people that you are going to need behind you, vouching for you, selling you to the other people within the company that, yes, this is the man or woman that deserves the opportunity. The only way for you to build that is you have to naturally and organically build that relationship over a long period of time. So that is how corporate politics works. It's building strategic relationships preemptively over a long period of time because you know this person is going to be a crucial resource later on when I need to do something or I want to do something specific. All right. And then the third part is strategic relationships, both internally and externally, and I kind of just covered that. It's, again, the difference between mentorship and strategic relationships. Mentorship is someone who's actively giving you feedback and helping you develop as a professional. Strategic relationships is, think of those as the people who are going to have the information, the resources, and the opportunities to be able to help you make or take a specific action or be successful in a specific way. They're strategic relationships. All right, so enough of the application. Now I want to give you a brief overview of how to go about building these strategic relationships in your personal life and in your professional career. All right, so now let's talk about the third part, which is a brief overview of how to build these strategic relationships. So the first part is you need to be interested, not interesting. So I'm sure that you've heard of the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, or you've heard of people saying, it's don't try to impress, listen to the other people. People are self-interested. They love to talk about themselves. All of that is true. It's people are very self-interested. Now, when you first meet somebody, and this is really important, so I want you to remember this. When you first meet somebody, in order to set a great first impression, it's not about you trying to impress somebody. Literally, the easiest and best way to create a first impression that is fantastic is be incredibly interested about the other person or in the other person. Ask them questions about themselves. Ask them questions about their area of expertise or their family or their background or their career path or their company, their project, their whatever. It needs to be about them. And when someone talks about themselves, no one is going to talk about themselves and be like, oh God, what a horrible conversation. It's like, they were the ones talking. So they're not going to walk away saying, that conversation sucked because they were the ones doing all the talking. So when you're interested, not interesting, not only are you going to create a great first impression with somebody, but that person's naturally going to like you more. And you actually have learned from them. A lot of people go, if you're the one talking the whole time, and I'm sure that you've heard this quote before, God gave us 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth for a reason. If you're the one doing all the talking in a conversation, you're not learning anything. You're not getting a new perspective. You're not learning new information. You're not actually building rapport and connecting with somebody because you're talking to them, not with them. And I know you know the difference. So the very first part is ask yourself, am I talking too much? Is everything about me? Am I trying to impress people rather than actually connect and get to know them? Am I talking or am I asking questions? If there's anything you take away from this video, if you simply ask other people more questions about themselves, their thoughts, their beliefs, their values, their wants, their needs, their desires, their lives, their careers, their families, if you simply ask more questions, you will be blown away at how much better relationships and how much stronger of relationships you begin to build in your life and in your career. So now the second part is no expectations. Now, what do I mean by that? So specifically, when people think about networking, it's so awkward and uncomfortable for them because they go in like, oh, I'm going to have to ask this person for something. And then, they have the conversation that at the end of the call, they force something in. Even though it didn't feel comfortable, it didn't come naturally, but they still forced it in. Well, some people say, ask and you shall receive. There's also a time for asking. And in order to ask, you need to have a rapport with someone. You have to actually have a connection with that person. And we'll talk about that. But if you actually have a rapport with somebody and you actually have a connection with them, people will naturally offer to help you when you express your interest in something. People help people who they know, like, and trust. If you were to just walk up to some totally random person on the street and say, hey, can I borrow $1,000 and I'll give it back to you at the end of the week? They're probably going to say no. But if you were to ask a family member or a very close friend, that person might just say, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but yes. Why? Because that person knows you, likes you, and trusts you. But if someone doesn't have that level of rapport, of that level of trust with you, they're not going to be able to just do that on a whim. They're going to have to really get to know you before they just lend out $1,000 to someone. Well, that's like when you think of an internal referral or a mentor, someone who's willing to invest their time and energy into you and developing you as a professional, giving you feedback. Or if you think of a strategic relationship, someone who's willing to pull strings for you or introduce you to their close-knit community, their strategic relationships. People will not do these things if they don't know you, like you, and trust you. Well, you need to build the relationship for that. So one of the first things that people do to blow up a potential great relationship is they go in with an expectation. And as a personal example, think of like if you were going out on a first date, whether you're a guy or a girl, you're going out on a first date and you sit down and immediately you're like, I'm going home with this person. It's like, or I'm going to marry this person. That person's going to think you're a creep. They're going to immediately run in the other direction. Why? Because you showed up with an expectation of what's going to happen. I'm going to marry you. Whoa, dude. You know? So it's the exact same way in a professional career. If we go in with expectations and someone doesn't actually know us, that never ends well. So whatever you do, when you're first meeting somebody, be genuinely interested in them, ask them questions, learn from them, get them talking about themselves, and most importantly, have absolutely no expectations about what's going to happen at the end of the conversation. Maybe you just, shake hands, you have a great conversation, just say, I'd love to stay in touch. And then you genuinely stay in touch with them. So now the third part, give or offer to give before asking them for anything. Now, some people, and I'm sure that you know, and someone's going to come to your head right here, do you have a friend or a family member or someone else in your life who whenever they contact you, you immediately know they want something? You do not want to be that person. You do not want to be that person because it's not a real relationship. It's a transaction. It doesn't feel good. And that's why it doesn't feel good. Whenever that person contacts you, you're like, all right, they're going to small chat me, and I know that they're going to ask for something. Well, first off, when you show up with no expectations, you're conditioning and training that person to believe, hey, if we talk, you're not going to ask me for something every single time. Now, you might sometimes. But this part is give before asking. You want to be the first one to offer to give in a relationship. A lot of people are afraid to do that because they're like, what if I don't get anything back in return? What if I waste my time or energy? It's not wasting. Think of it as you're investing into that relationship, whether it's personal or professional. If you genuinely want to build a relationship with someone, you have to give to them. You have to meet their needs before your own. And let's just use personal relationships as an example. If you have a couple, and every person, they're just meeting their own needs and they're never doing something for the other person. If they're only self-interested, that relationship is literally going out. They're meeting their needs outside of the relationship. It will fall apart because it's totally selfish. In order to have a successful relationship, you have to be selfless. You have to be willing to do things for the other person, even if you don't want to, because it's not about you. It's about meeting their needs. It's about giving to them because you actually love them or care about them or want to be with them. It's the exact same way in our professional careers. If we want to genuinely build strong strategic relationships with people, we have to be willing to give and invest or at least offer to meet the other person's needs or help them in some way before we ever expect anything back from them. And if you put energy out into the world, you will receive. It just won't be in that moment. It will be later on. So I can't stress enough how important this is. Be willing to be the first one to help someone else before you ever expect help from other people. Your life and career will massively expand when you start embodying and living by that principle of I need to help others first, and then later on I'll receive. That will hold true and transform your life. Now this fourth part, reference points and cadence. So what do I mean by that? A relationship is nothing more than reference points of familiarity and past experiences that have been shared. Now, what do I mean by that? Why do you love your mother or your father or your guardian or whoever it is that raised you as a child? Because you have an enormous amount of references with that person. There are some people who are born and then whoever their biological mother or father is, they're not the ones who raised them. Well, if you look at those people compared to someone who did grow up with their biological mother or father, or both, the relationships that they have with them, with the parents, are different. Why? Because how much time and our life experiences with the people are different. So let's say that you do or don't have a relationship with me. Well, if you have a relationship with me, whether you're family or a friend or a colleague or a past business person, or even, college or somehow, some way, it's you and I share past experiences together. And the number of experiences that we share with one another strengthens or destroys our relationship because of things that have happened in the past together. Now, if you only have one reference point with someone, is that going to be a strong relationship? No, probably not. Now, if you have two, well, slightly stronger. What about three? stronger, 4, stronger, and it just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Now, I'll use another example. Have you ever been to a conference or a networking seminar or even a first day on a job where you meet someone in the very beginning of the day and you stay with that person the whole day and you go from room to room to room or to event to event to event, and like you just literally partner with that person, you're with that person all day. Believe it or not, what you're doing is intraday, you're building multiple different reference points intraday. So this could be one day. And you've built 7, 8, 9 reference points with that person in one day. So strategically, if you want to be building a great relationship with someone internal, let's say that there's another director or a VP or someone, senior within your company that's in a totally different division. You want to be building a strategic relationship with that person. Well, the very first thing you're going to need to do is plan out how many reference points do I want to target having with that person. Your target could be, I want 10 reference points. I want to have 10 reference points. Okay, well maybe then you say, well, what is the cadence that I want to be having touch points with this person or reference points with this person? Well, maybe it's a coffee a month or a 15-minute chat once a month. Or if maybe it could be, a coffee chat or lunch once every 2 months, something like that. Well, if it's once every 2 months, that's going to be 20 months. So that's just over a year and a half of time building a relationship with that person. Now, if it's 10 months and it's once a month, well, obviously 10 months, and you're going to be having coffee with that person or lunch with that person, or even if it's a 15-minute phone call once a month. Now, it might sound like, all right, that's not going to build a relationship, but it will. Because what you're doing is you're anchoring in these other points into that person's mind. And eventually, through building reference points and shared experiences with that person, the more reference points, they're going to begin to know you, like you, and trust you. And when someone knows you, likes you, and trusts you, if you ask for help or express interest in something, they're actually going to be willing to help you or offer to help you. So I hope that all of this makes sense in terms of strategically building relationships, whether it's in professional networking for a career transition, or if it's in a personal life, you want to build a relationship with someone, or if it's in your professional life, whether it's internal politics or finding a mentor or a strategic relationship that's going to be able to help you later on down the road get what you want in your career. These 5 points will massively affect how you go about building those relationships. So this is extremely valuable. People are your greatest resource. People are your greatest resource. People are your greatest resource. Whatever you want, it's going to be coming through people. So have an outstanding week. Keep building. Never forget, we can have whatever we want for our lives and our careers. We just have to, 1, have the right strategies, and then 2, be willing to actually make the decisions, have the courage to take action on it, and then do it consistently. Have an outstanding week. We'll talk soon.